As of the recording of this video, Saints Row has been out for 3 days. I have a few things that I want to say about it because I got to play it 3 hours sooner than expected, which isn't a big deal in and of itself, but that means that I got to play it 3 hours earlier than expected, as well as have several hours of gameplay since it's been released over the last 3 days. And maybe I haven't played it more than anybody else, but I feel like I've played enough to be able to accurately assess this game to give an honest review and some feedback on what I experienced. I have to say there's a lot of things that I'm disappointed about, but there's also a lot of things that I've been really excited about. Saints Row, when it released, had a ton of bugs right off the bat, which were made very clear by a plethora of YouTube videos and other online postings talking about how many there were. Saints Row, within the first hour of its release, was already being slammed online due to a variety of bugs within the game. When I hear that, even just myself speaking it out loud, it makes it sound like the game had ridiculous, astronomical bugs that were going on. Things like your game would lock up and shut down, or I don't know, you would get in the vehicle or something and try and drive away and you would just explode and die or whatever. Or maybe you would join a mission and then you wouldn't be able to complete it because it wouldn't let you know what the next objective was. Which is, in my experience, as well as the things that I've seen online, there has been nothing to that degree. There have been some bugs, most of them I've witnessed, like aim assist being a total flop, the overall speed of your sights as you're ADSing being variable and non-consistent. So imagine if you are panning to the left, at one point you might be panning to the left and it might go a normal speed, and then you would pan back to the right and it would go half that speed, and then as you pan back to the left it would go 3 times the original speed. It was kind of all over the map. Driving vehicles, turn radiuses, or being able to drift, or speeds, things like that, kind of being inconsistent. Nothing to the degree of making the game unplayable by any means. There were some other instances where I saw people that they would try and do something and they would fall through the map and just keep falling and falling until the mission failed or something like that. But that seems very rare that it was happening on a broad scale. Not saying that if there were 100 cases out of 100,000 players, 100 cases is still a lot, but if you put it in percentage-wise, it's like, okay, let's give them a break. The game has been out for only 3 days, as opposed to maybe 3 weeks, 3 months, or even 3 years. Now, the thing that frustrates me the most about the negative reviews about this game is not anything necessarily about the negative reviews themselves or the feedback, if you want to call it that, or the critiques about the game. What frustrates me about it is that people are treating this game as if it's like a AAA title like Call of Duty or Battlefield or GTA. And they're thinking that, okay, well, you are a billion-dollar corporation or a conglomerate company developing a game and it comes out looking like this. Now, those complaints or the feedback may be valid, but in my opinion, I think we need to cut the developers a little bit of a break. Maybe we give them a chance to fix their game before we start ripping them apart. Some of you out there, and I might piss you off in saying this, will completely turn a blind eye to companies like Call of Duty that are notorious for allowing cheaters and hackers to enter their game or bending you over to take money out of your wallet for pay-to-play or pay-to-win skins, and you're okay with that, but the second that a game hits the market and it's not everything you hoped and dreamed it would be within the first 3 days, you rip it to shreds because it's not Call of Duty. You're not a fanboy of the game, so to speak. Now, I'm not saying that Saints Row is the greatest game ever released, or it's the, best thing since sliced bread, or it's better than any other title that's ever been released. No, it definitely has its flaws, and there's definitely other games that I will be playing in the mix. I'm not going to be playing Saints Row religiously. All I'm saying is there's a lot of irony in people calling out a game for its flaws on one title, but then they refuse to call out another game for the exact same flaws, potentially even on an exponentially worse scale, just because they might like this game or be attached to it for longer. There are some fair things that have happened with like Battlefield 2042 when it got released. It was supposed to be the biggest game development in history, and when it hit the market, it fell flat on its face, which in my opinion was well deserved. How are you gonna flaunt and strut that this is gonna be the greatest game ever that's ever been created when it came to first-person shooters, and then you release that hot garbage? To me, totally justified the roasting that it received. Saints Row kind of has an opposite effect, where they had a great game back in 2006, 16 years ago. Then they had Saints Row 2, another great game, Saints Row 3, which was a great game, Saints Row 4, which is a total flop, in my opinion. And then they tried to redeem themselves, and the first thing that you do is say, well, this isn't Call of Duty, or this game isn't AAA worthy. I think what I'm trying to say with all of this is that yes, the game could be better in some ways, but it could also have been a lot worse, as we've seen with other much more financially endowed companies that develop games have created in the past. I mean, Call of Duty released Cold War, which was supposed to be the greatest rendition of Call of Duty. The developer said it was going to be the greatest Call of Duty that we've ever seen, and they released the worst performing game in the franchise's history, ever. In 20 years. But no, Activision, the greatest company ever, they could never make a bad game. Then they follow it up with Vanguard, another massive flop of a game, but no, Call of Duty is the greatest game ever. You all might figure out that I've lost a lot of faith in Call of Duty, which I have another video coming about that. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell so that you can come back and hear my roast, if you will, about Call of Duty. Basically, in summary, with everything that I'm saying about this is that it seems like nobody can ever be satisfied with a game or say, hey, they tried and they did some good things, but there's some things that could use improvement. I was actually just on Saints Row's page 5 minutes before recording this video, reading that the developers have received tons of feedback from their players, and they're already working on implementing fixes for a lot of the problems that have come to light even after their first update that they've released in Epic Games Store. I've never seen a response like that from Activision or the developers of Call of Duty. I've seen the developers talk about it on their Twitter or on their Facebook company page or whatever it might be, saying, we hear your concerns and we're working on a fix, and no fix has ever come. Saints Row has already released one update to the Epic Games Store, and they say that there's another one on the way. I think the developers are trying to make sure that this game succeeds to some degree. So maybe let's give the game a little bit of time before we worry about just tearing it apart and hoping that they fail. I think a lot of the stuff that we might see on YouTube right now is clickbait, or people trying to go to the polar extremes of either side of the argument. On one side saying, this game is fucking amazing, or this game is completely hot garbage and should just be burned as it sits. I'm kind of in the middle. I kind of lean certain ways on certain aspects of the game. I think right now the game is not a phenomenal release, nor is it an absolutely hot garbage release. But what I do think is that the game has a ton of potential. As long as the developers listen to the complaints and the concerns at hand, they could potentially bring some new life into this game and make it into the title that we were all hoping it would be. Or, on the flip side of that, they could not listen to anything that we're saying or take it in their own direction, update the game, and it can turn into the absolute pile of garbage that everybody's expecting it would be. I'm not taking a side just yet. I am trying to sit as neutral as possible, but I'm also trying to call out the people that are just, they jump right on the bandwagon of saying this game is absolute trash, or jumping on the bandwagon of saying this is the greatest game that's ever existed, because it's neither of those. Hopefully, I didn't piss all of you off too much. And if I didn't, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking that notification bell so you can get more updates from this channel. Drop a comment below letting me know if you think that I'm full of shit, or maybe you think that I hit the nail on the head about how this game has been interpreted, or maybe you think that I'm just outright delusional. I'd love to hear whatever you guys have to say within reason. I mean, you might make me cry or something in the comments, whatever. Doubt it. But anyways, I hope all of you that watch this all the way through take my rant as something of a change that should be made to the gamer community as a whole. I don't think that we should be holding people to the highest unattainable standards when it comes to building a game, and I also don't think that we need to allow things to be swept under the rug like we tend to do a lot with bigger titles. I think that we need to understand that developers have a massive amount of influence coming into their games. They're trying to do everything they can to appease to everybody that has the potential of picking up a controller and playing their game without driving away a huge chunk of their fan base. But what do I know? I'm just some clown on YouTube that's talking to a camera hoping that somebody might see this and agree with me or disagree with me or share this or whatever it might be. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for going through this whole rant with me, and I hope to see you all on the next one. Have a good day.